Welcome to Business Technicalities. We have another PitchIT live event here, and Sean's got some coffee here. I've been doing energy drinks, and that's because within the last 24 hours, this picture was taken. We were at the CompTIA event, so if we sound a little gravelly in our voice, Sean will say I'm crying about it. But the music was loud, and conversations kept going, and so we're still a little, a little off base, but we're getting there. I thought this picture would be a little context because the other ones, they're not going to be shown anywhere.
Well, so hold up. Two things. First, I love cake pops. Okay, that's first. Let's just get out of the way. Because both of those cake pops were mine, by the way. I didn't share any with you at all. None. Two, you are crying. You know what? It wasn't that loud. It's 2 days later. You're still crying about it. You know, you and Brett together should not be together, I feel like. But yes.
So if we sound a little different or a little bit gravelly in our voice, this is where all of that is coming from. But let's talk about Sean. What is PitchIT? Before we bring our guests on, let's keep ourselves on topic.
Let's get this rolling. Good idea. So PitchIT. PitchIT is actually my VP
ConnectWise Shark Tank event.
Yeah, I was about to say my VP of corporate communications. She's like, "Can you stop referencing Thunderdome all the time?" But I love Thunderdome. She's like, "Nobody's really dying." I'm like, "Well, I get that, but it's just how you see it." But yeah, no, it is ConnectWise version of Shark Tank, but a lot more advanced, a lot more in depth. We set up a 16-week accelerator program where currently we have 18 vendors going through the program, and every single week they have a workshop with people that are industry leaders within certain realms of you running your business, whether it's sales, marketing, mergers, acquisitions, and all that great stuff. Anyway, goal is at the end of this month, actually, we're about to make some announcements this next week on a couple of things that are about to happen. But at the end of this month, there will be the preliminaries. The preliminaries are going to take us from 18 vendors to 3 vendors. 3 vendors then get a chance to move on to the big show. I thought about the big show, like wrestling in the big show, but the big show where they get to actually pitch at IT Nation Connect. Grand prize $70,000, second place $30,000, third place, thank you for coming. Here's your towels and slippers.
All of them get to go through this accelerator program, which is also awesome. So all of them come out better from it because it's going to help them focus their skills, build their product, align themselves to the market and their audience. So this is one of the great things, even if they're not the one of the 18 enter, one may win.
Yeah.
The one to win may get some funding, but they all get this really cool program they go through. And, there's a lot of camaraderie. We've actually made a few friends as we've gone through this. So we have the other PitchIT events here on the channel you can watch, but
absolutely.
Yeah. All the links are down below to dive into the PitchIT thing. This is going to be an annual thing that ConnectWise is doing, right?
Yes, this is the 5th year of it running.
Yes.
This is the first year of the accelerator program. So it is exciting, and all these vendors have been great. And that's the other part about this is exactly what we're doing here. Some of these guys had never done webinars really. So that's another part of this is we started doing webinars with Adam Belensky, with CW Boss, Sierra Pacific Group, and then you and I jumped on with these ones now for the second round of these, and it gives them some good exposure, but gives them some practice.
Yeah.
And helps them refine some things because you and I look at things from different perspectives, right? You are an MSP. You're the buyer. These are the guys. You're the people they talk to. I'm always working with MSPs, and also just your background. You're IT. I'm sales and marketing. So you and I already walk in the door with a different thought process. So it's good they do it in front of us and in front of people that watch us because it's good exposure, but it's good real time feedback. I feel like too.
All right, let's bring our guests on.
Yeah, let's do our job. So without further ado, we'll bring on Andrew. How are you, sir?
Hey guys, how are you?
Great. We were, right before we came on live, Andrew was bragging about this being his backyard. We're 50 meters away or whatever, but still nowhere. It looks nothing like the rivers in Pittsburgh or Detroit.
Yeah. So this is like right down the street. This is like in your neighborhood.
That's exactly right. We're pretty lucky to wake up to this view every day and go into work driving past this wonderful vista. I just want to shout out to the program, Sean, because I think the money's nice, and if you win first, second, third, that's kind of cool. But what I'm finding really valuable on this is just the engagement sessions like this, getting to know so much more about the industry coming from New Zealand. The US market's quite different to us, and so just getting a huge amount of value and enjoying this particular kind of exercise. Just want a big shout out to you and to the ClickWise team for putting it on.
Absolutely, thank you. We appreciate it. It was a lot of hard work from our team, but you guys all made it really well too. So I feel like we're all blessed in this because everybody was so good about this, honestly. But thank you. We're going to bring on our other guest, Wes. What's up, dude?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going great. Thank you for coming on, man. All right, so your backyard doesn't look like Andrew's backyard.
No, definitely not.
you,
It's just desert outside of the virtual background. So.
You couldn't ask for two polar opposites here.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And Tom and I are right in the middle because we have green and we have water, just not that nice. And we also don't get the really beautiful, we don't get as much sun. Let's just say that too.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So you're out. So Wes, you're out of what again? Phoenix, right?
Yeah, North Phoenix. Cape
And Andrew, you're where again?
I'm in Auckland in New Zealand, so quite a long way from you guys. It's about 13, 14-hour flight just to get to North America from here, but it's well worth it when you get there. Love visiting Phoenix, and we were talking about Detroit earlier on, and it's such a great joy to see other parts of the world. Aren't we lucky to be able to do that?
Absolutely. And so, okay, so what time is it for you, Andrew?
It's just gone 7 a.m. And this is my second one of these today. I just finished a sales call with a prospect in Florida just a few minutes ago before coming onto this call. So we're getting going, and it's Saturday for us as well. I realize it's Friday for you guys. It's Saturday for us over here, and the rest of the weekend is going to be spent enjoying what you can see behind me.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think about that. It's like Saturday 7, enjoying a good morning.
Yeah, it's 7. Yeah, like so for Tom and I, it's 3 p.m. Eastern, right? Yep. And for Wes, you're what? You guys got weird times? Are you Mountain Time or Pacific Time to us now?
We're Pacific Time at the moment, so it's noon here.
Yeah, they don't move times at all. So you know I never
know how the states word it. Your state words it. We choose not to participate in the time change.
That's right.
So that is so strange that because there's a couple states, Indiana's one of them, but only half of Indiana chooses not to participate in time changing that we do here. Which time changing stupid anyways, but the fact that like some states are like, nah,
yeah,
it's sometimes different times here.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, it's difficult. Do you guys find it okay? So Andrew, you're one of the worst with the largest probably problem as far as it's concerned when it comes to time zones and working with people. You know, so how do you work that out? How do you maintain a balanced work schedule from there if you're doing stuff in North America, that is?
Look, I think we're still working that through. The hardest country for us to connect with is the UK. We've got a couple of clients over there, and that's almost the exact opposite of our time zone. So you end up doing quite a few late nights. You end up doing a few longer days, but you pay off during the middle of the day where you might get some personal time. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I know.
That's the payoff behind me, right?
Yeah. You get to live there, but you have to, work at completely different hours in order to.
I like it. Yeah.
There's one of the other things about know about New Zealand. We don't have snakes here.
I know.
Good reason. We've got a whole lot less poisonous animals. We've got these great views. What's not to love about it? Maybe you guys are in the wrong spot. You should come here.
I'll go rate that.
Yeah,
that looks way better than where I'm at. So
I've been to Auckland 4 times and love it.
There you go.
And yet you're in Phoenix, complete opposite still.
Yeah, I got offered a job to come down to Auckland, and I was just that close to taking it. But rest of the family,
it's not too late, mate. It's not too late. We've got a job for you.
I didn't know this was going to be an interview. Let's go.
Got a job for me and Sean. I know.
Like seriously, Andrew, if you're gonna offer, you can't just offer. It's like you can't go get like ice cream for just yourself when you come back.
Yeah,
you have to get ice cream for everybody. So
we can talk later.
We could talk.
He'll just bring us all down there.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time. I'm fine with it. I'm ready. I mean, honestly, I'm still packed. I haven't unpacked yet, so I have what I need. Just saying.
So we'll see you soon. See you soon. 12 hours. So go to the airport.
15 hours, right? 15 hours about? Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
Wait, but where's 15
no
hours? Is that
problems.
West Coast? Is that like
Sorry,
West Coast? Is that you getting to the West Coast?
I think Houston. I think we normally fly to Houston. It's about 16 hours to Houston. That's my normal jump off spot. I think it's about 12 hours to San Francisco.
Oh my. Okay. Yeah, that's a hike. You have more coming to the East Coast. So what? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here. You guys both have founded companies. You're both in the PitchIT competition. So let's talk about. Let's start with you, Andrew. What is your company? What do you do?
Our company is Get Cambion. So we've got a 25-year-old MSP called Kinetics. Been doing this stuff for a long time. And as part of that, we really started thinking about why our customers buy IT. And the answer is they don't buy IT because they want IT. They buy IT because they need it. And our job as an MSP, the MSP head on, is to understand what's driving our clients. What are their biggest business concerns? What are the risks? What's the stuff they're worried about? What's the stuff they're excited about? And to make sure that we're aligning as an MSP, the service offering, to our customers' needs. We've done it for a while, and we're in the Evolve, the ConnectWise Evolve community, and some of our friends there said, hey, you know what you're doing is fantastic. Can you share it with us? Oh, heavens, okay, it's interesting. Must be a way of doing it. And we went back and thought about it and made a company called Get Cambion, and that's what we do. We're taking our IP for how you quickly, as a sales team, get to the nub of a customer's issues, find out what's driving their business, their concerns, and very quickly turn that into a sales proposition that MSP can execute on. And this is a QBR discussion, how we then take that back into a QBR and help the customer to see the value we're offering, to progress their roadmap, and to make sure that they are achieving their goals. Because basically, if our clients achieve the goals they want to, then the MSPs that support those clients are going to grow and thrive as well.
Absolutely. That's good. So, okay. So where was the origination of this again?
So out of the Evolve group, so out of the ConnectWise Evolve community, we've been a member of that for a long time, and our mates in the Evolve group said, hey, we love what you're doing. Can you share that with us? And of course, that's one of the tenets of Evolve is that go give a sharing idea. So, all right, okay, well, we're up for that. We'll put our money where our mouth is, and that's literally what we've done. So here we are in the ConnectWise community, really enjoying it, trying to find a way to help other MSPs to be just more purposeful and more effective about understanding what drives their clients and helping the MSPs to deliver on that so that the customer and the MSP can be successful together.
That's awesome. And I think, I'm a big fan of Evolve, and you were in Evolve as a partner, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And so for people that have never seen Evolve and don't know what it consists of, I mean, it's a pair group, but the one thing is, and the reason why you did this, obviously, is you guys become like you're almost like the board of directors for each other and your team. So, and I've watched these conversations happen, even though you don't work for each other, obviously, but when you're there, you work with each other and for each other. And I like that. So, obviously a need for MSPs in sales, marketing, business development, anything like that is always a need, because they stink at it.
It's about sharing ideas and keeping each other honest. That's right. It's not really, the board's kind of a bit of a stretch because I do a bit of corporate governance as well. It's not quite that, but it is certainly, sharing. And what you find is that an MSP in one geography is having more or less exactly the same challenges as an MSP in a different geography. And most of the Evolve community have, you've got 2 or 3 different sorts of client bases in there, and MSP sort of find their way into 1 or 2 of those categories. And of course, we've all listened to Paul Dipple and the service leadership ideas. We found our niche and we go for it. And Evolve just helps you to really just understand how best to add value to clients. Yeah. Right.
Yep. Totally get it. So Wes, let's talk about you for a minute, man. What do you do?
Awesome. I founded this company in '93. So we the print industry is where I grew up and I've kind of had toner in my blood forever. We were kind of that cutting edge of that recurring monthly revenue model. So, we've been doing this for 30 years, billing customers every month for print, essentially, before managed IT was a thing.
Yeah.
But, the key thing that we've always found in any reoccurring revenue model is you've got to control the race to the bottom, because there's always somebody coming in trying to cut your price, and you got to control cost. So everything about our product and solutions is about managing those key assets, which is your people, understanding what they're doing, how they're doing it, how efficient are they doing it, measuring and feeding back information to those folks so that they know how to do their jobs better, rewarding them for doing their jobs better, but also creating a data set that allows you to compare yourself to others. What are you doing? How well are you doing it? And what's that opportunity look like? Because so many times we have models, right? So we have one in our industry, and I know you guys have one in your industry, but the model kind of represents the average for the most part, and sometimes it's the top 25%. We like to say, what's possible? How good can you be? And so look at the best practices of each one of these companies that are involved in our program and go, here's what you can do and how you can do it. And how do we communicate that information to the frontline people to get the job done?
I
Yep.
think it's important, like you said, the race to the bottom too. It's also why QBR can be so important, because you have to make sure you're in alignment with your client's values. Because even some of the cheapest clients are still value shopping, and sometimes when they are willing to pay less, it's they maybe don't understand the value you're providing, or somehow it was perceived by the cheaper person they would also provide better value. But we already know the end of most of these races to the bottoms is you cut away all the service, and then you can't even get a hold of anyone to help you with the product. But as long as you're demonstrating that to the client and bringing it back to them, it's how you can maintain a higher margin of it. So I think it's a really important thing to consider on that.
Tom, what you're talking about is the commoditization of IT services, effectively. And if you think back just 10 or 15 years, back in the days of Microsoft Small Business Server, I'm sure most MSPs who've been around pre-cloud will remember the days of installing endless. So we used to do one a week. SBS server on a HP ML350, I think was our common build. If you remember those things, they used to arrive. You had these pallets afterwards to get rid of, and we were putting those out one a week. And the customer of 5 or 10 users all needed roughly the same solution. It might have been an RDS server, or I think they were called term servers in those days, and an SQL server. It was a pretty standard configuration. We were pushing those out all the time. And we'd have a ratio of one tech for 5 or 10 clients, depending on the size. And you could count on that, and the customers really valued the work you were doing. But roll forward now to 2022. Customers on the cloud. A customer of 10, 20, 30, 50 users has got maybe no infrastructure at all. They're all on the cloud now. They're using Azure 365 or non-Microsoft alternatives. They're using SaaS products, but they used to use stuff on a server. And so their requirement for IT services is very different to what it was when most of our MSPs were born. And the challenge is that they've actually got more IT than they had before. They've got a HRIS system that we simply couldn't afford in the old days. They've got logistics tools. They've got CRM tools. They've got various utilities around their operation that they didn't know that they used, that the people in their business are using. Sometimes they even know about them because people just signed up quietly on the slide, put their credit card in, and away they go. So they're super reliant on IT. But the organization's got less IT, even though they're even bigger than the customers that used to keep us going. We look at cybersecurity, and we're seeing a lot of cybersecurity being baked into products. So we're seeing that obviously in the ConnectWise program. We're seeing that in Microsoft with Defender and their 365 stack. We're seeing that in Cisco. We're seeing that in a range of tools, the commoditization, even now, of cybersecurity. So the question is, what's the value that an MSP offers a client, and how does an MSP really understand the value that they do? At the same time, they're looking at guys coming from the print industry like Wes, and they're seeing people come in from AV as well. And we've seen this actually, IT Nation. I remember Arnie Bellini saying this is what was going to happen, and he was exactly right. The commoditization of IT services is sort of what used to be the engineer is now a technician, more tier one support. We get that again, our Evolve Group echoes that over and over. So companies are more reliant on IT, but they've got less IT, and the sort of levels of support they require are less expensive. It can be delivered by more tier one, level one service providers. So how does an MSP survive in that world? Well, the answer is they've got to hone in on what their customer needs to make their customer successful and start to go up the stack and add value more as a consultant. They've got to be less like a guy in a polo shirt, more like a guy in a suit and tie, and just really consider the value proposition in terms of what their customer requires and how they can do it. And we need to show them how to do that at scale. We need to show them how to do that quickly so they can get value for them and their customer more rapidly.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things we still provide as IT and MSP providers is whether it's on-prem or in the cloud, someone has to make all that get glued together work, be properly tied together for authentication, that the proper security settings are there and everything else. So there's still a lot of value for us to provide. We're not just reselling Office 365. Microsoft's defaults are, well, not great. And most, especially the small business users, when you take one over, especially if you start with a small business that thought they could, oh, we don't need an IT person, we're just going to go buy Office 365. And then they have a security event and they're like, oh, I guess the defaults weren't really great on that. Oh, what do you mean we don't get these extra features unless we buy a higher license? By the way, there's, figuring out Microsoft licenses, that's not even for the faint of heart of a good MSP. It's not like for a person who's running a business, that's a real challenge. And that's where we come in. And that's where I think we can still demonstrate a lot of value. And they can rant. And I love when customers always rant, well, why wouldn't Microsoft make the defaults good? I'm like, I don't know. They like employing us. I'm not sure.
No, you're right, because we've got to get to the nub of what's important to that customer, because actually those are Microsoft's defaults. But actually, every customer is a bit different. They're trying to do slightly different things. So now our job is to uncover that, and it's to figure out how to apply that. Now, one of your previous business technicalities webinars I was watching yesterday, the replay of it, and I think one of the points was that the customer's budget's only this big. There's this many things they can spend money on. And one of our challenges is to help them use that expenditure as effectively as possible to achieve their goals. And the way to do that is to find out what's important to them, to show them the value that we're offering. And if there's things that we're going to do this quarter, next quarter, the quarter after that, to come back and say, hey, Mr. Customer, you really said that we needed to roll out this daily protection regime, but you didn't want to do that until quarter 3. It's now quarter 3. Are you going to give us the green light? So let's bring that back from the roadmap, surface that back up into QBR, and move on with it. Part of our process in this discussion is how do we help an MSP to continue to thrive, to achieve their sales quotas, to achieve their roadmap for their customers, so that them and the customer grow together. I love that comment there. A good technician must know how to Google the right answers for customers. My Lord, that's the world we're in, right? We're in that world where information has been commoditized and it's out there on Google. That's exactly right.
Yeah, and having a good index of what to look for and what to need. But back a little bit to the QBR, it's also driving efficiency, because honestly, technology isn't just something that you need to use. Used properly, any company that utilizes it, it becomes a force multiplier for how they can do business better than their competitors. So when you are strategically aligned with them, and like you said, understanding, unraveling what technology would better suit them for a more efficient workflow, now they're like, oh, wow, it saves me clicks, and clicks are time, and the time they spend doing something has now reached a level of automation. And now I didn't have to hire anyone. I used to work in corporate IT, and that was always where I always try to bring the most efficiency, is how we had a really good alignment with the people that ran the company of, or how can we use technology, because there's a shortage of people right now. We need to get more things done. How do we do that? And we would start it at that approach from internal. And I was lucky enough 20 years ago to be involved that long ago in a company forward thinking, and I've kept that forward thinking when I started my business. They understood technology is what's going to make us better than our competition. So I think always thinking in those terms is really important, and that's how you demonstrate your value. This is how I'm going to make your business sing. I'm going to make it run better. You can really bring it to them.
But and that even comes back. So it comes back to a few things here, right? You're talking about QBRs are important, right? Assessments at large are important. But one thing that with QBRs is a struggle is knowing the efficiency of people, or the efficiency of their uses of a product, or anything along those lines. So you have to have the ability to dig in and track how use it, how useful it is, how much it's saving. Because I agree with you, Tom, as far as technology is concerned, it's supposed to be complementary. Mm-hmm. If you're building your business around the technology, you're in trouble. You're supposed to build your processes out of, it depends on which way you go. People, process, technology, or process, people, technology. But the fact is, you're supposed to work that way. And again, technology is supposed to be complementary to the mission. Just like if you're going to go dig a hole, you need a shovel or a backhoe. And then what hole you're digging, you assess it, you go. And actually, since Wes is the outsider of the whole group, because he wasn't an MSP, nope. But we did see this migration, right? This exodus from print, not even exodus, but they're migrating over and evolving. Your product, actually, what you guys do kind of tracks a lot of this, right?
Yeah, I mean, part of the QBR process for us is that our customers use our data to say, and I'll kind of go back a little bit to the race to the bottom scenario. One of the problems, we're a very adept sales organization. And so what customers were hearing is what the customer actually wanted to hear. So we've had plenty of customers call us and go, well, they're saying you can do this, 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 and this. And I'm going, none of that's possible. None of it. And they're going, well, why is that possible? Every vendor that's in bidding on this deal is telling me that's what's going to happen. Because that was your expectation. And they're just giving you what you're asking for.
Exactly.
And so the key thing was showing the value proposition that says, here's my service and here's how my service compares to everybody else. So we actually have a process by which here's the data we produce, here's that same company's data compared, so they can show the customer we're actually doing exactly better than the average or substantially better than the average, adding that value to the proposition. But so many times the customers are just hearing messages that are pie in the sky. I'm going to say whatever I can to win the business kind of scenario. And
sure,
it's difficult to get to reality. And that's where we are as the reality.
Well, I think do you guys find that a lot of MSPs have a hard time establishing and maintaining value with their customers?
I think the opportunity to do that is to really understand what the customer values. And so if you're talking to your customer, you want to try and get to as high up in the management team as you can. Quite often an MSP goes into a client and the IT function, particularly if it's around IT support, gets pushed down their management chain to the whoever will take the job on. Quite often it's someone at accounts or a general manager. And what we really want to do, if we want to have a strategic connection with a client where we can deliver that value, is be as close to the chief executive as we possibly can be. And to do that, we need to talk about the things the chief executive cares about. And the chief executive cares about very different things to the line management and organization. They sit there and say, you know what, I'm really worried about our risk profile. I'm worried about this competitor who's able to deliver this new service in a way that we can't. I'm worried about the fact that I want to open up this new warehouse in this location. I want to bring this new product to market. I'm concerned that our insurance costs are starting to go up, or whatever, some combination of all of these things. And so our job is to understand what's driving that chief executive and his management, or his or her management team, and ensure that we are talking to that. So we've got to go in there firstly and have a strategic way, have a structured way of very quickly getting the nub of what's driving that guy or that girl, understanding what's important to them, and creating a roadmap that shows how we're going to deliver value towards that. Coming back to the QBR and saying, this is what we've done to do that. If we want to have the chief executive in the room of the QBR, we're not going to get them by talking about tickets or endpoints or even hardware life cycles. We're going to get there sitting and saying, you were really concerned that you've got 2 or 3 key salespeople there being poached by your competitor. You don't want them walking out of the organization taking key data with them. How do we protect that data and make sure it doesn't walk out the door when the sales team moves on? We're worried about providing we're having a problem attracting quality staff. We need to ensure that their IT experience is one that was part of a process that allows us to attract IT staff and offer attractive work from home scenarios or work from anywhere or whatever it is that's important to that organization. We've got to start off by knowing what's important to the organization so that we can deliver to it and then show the value we are delivering. That's what drives the chief executive of a customer, not whether not whether the MSP is better or worse than the next one, but is the MSP doing what the customer values?
Sure. Yeah, but I'm even thinking though, what happens when you are trying to maintain the value throughout the course of the relationship as well, right? So there has to, because there's, I don't think I've ever witnessed, and any of you can correct me if I'm wrong, small businesses, MSPs and any kind of sales organization, even in the print business too, there's not like a set list of KPIs that people have that are ongoing with the client, other than we're going to keep you running. I've never seen like a workflow or a chart or anything that shows that, right? I mean, the closest thing we have are QBRs, and QBRs are the quarterly business review, of course, but that's even subjective. That's not KPI driven. That's, in some cases it could be, but really it's usually, historically speaking, it's been more around, you got to renew these things, these devices, you got to buy new ones of these, and then also here's how we are going to improve our ticket workflow with you, or whatever, right? But it's never anything more than that. So now, how do you come back around? And Wes, we'll use your example, or where you guys are as far as the print industry. You can be like, hey, you use 1 million pieces of paper and this much ink, you obviously need us, and we give you a good rate. That's an easy KPI, right? That's consumption model. But
we have performance as well as consumption, but there are very specific performance models. They measure uptime, response time, how quickly does the technician get there when they do have a problem. So there are quite a few metrics around that you can sell the customer on. But there's an odometer, right? So we have that meter that's measuring page count. So the odometer kind of tells us how many miles driven, which is a little more difficult in the software world, right? But it's still
Yep.
the customer. You would almost want to be invisible until the customer needs you, and then you want to over deliver and make sure the customer's experience is awesome. And in that interim space where you're invisible, communicate to them that value. What are we doing? We're here. We're taking care of you. Everything is working. You know, the best thing that can happen is something doesn't break, right?
Yep.
You don't get hacked. You don't get infiltrated. You don't lose the license. You don't. You know, those are the things that I want to make sure I'm communicating and telling them that that's what we're here for, is to keep you going.
Yeah, in an ideal scenario, when we do our job very well, we're silent and that we're unnoticed. We're paid for the service and we're doing a thing because you notice us greatly or think about us a lot when all the employees are standing around doing nothing. And you're like, well, I'm paying all these people, but they can't get into their systems. They can't get their print jobs done. That's when they notice it. It is kind of a, you know, sometimes can be a little bit difficult. You get caught up in that, but you know, communication with the client, having these conversations with the client makes you less invisible. You know what I mean? If you haven't heard from a while, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's just okay to say hi, take them out to lunch a little, and engage a little bit with the client, and you know, keep all your metrics internally so you can share them at a moment's notice. If hey, let's do lunch Friday, or you know, get together and you can go over some of these things and have them at the ready.
Can I give a slightly different perspective? Because we started off doing QBRs, I don't know, 15 years ago, and we had a customer that said, I don't know why I'm paying you. I never see you. My IT just works. Why am I paying you all this money? You know, what do you do for me? And we're certainly thinking, oh, hell, okay, that's an interesting question. And we started, you know, doing QBRs. They weren't really a common thing then, certainly in our world, back then in the early 2000s. And we've evolved from there. And what we've realized is that, and it's one of the questions actually from the PitchIT program, Sean, was what makes you unique? It's one of the questions that's been asked 2 or 3 times by different presenters. And the reality is, if we go to MSP's websites, we see roughly the same promises. It doesn't matter what country you're in, what jurisdiction, what vertical market you're in, you see roughly the same promises. And I know when we were out in the market in our MSP business competing, I've got 3 or 4 people we compete with. We're competing with them for staff, we're competing with them for customers, and our broad value propositions on our websites are kind of the same. If you're talking about SLAs rather, and tickets and endpoint life cycles, we can all have that chat. But what we can't all do is understand our client and show value to them in their context. And that's a piece where it is quite hard to have SLAs. But the SLA that counts to the customer is the customer achieving their goals? Do they trust you to help them do that? And the term trusted advisor, well, you know, what does that mean? Well, it means, you know, do they rely on you? If they've got an IT question, how can I do this better? I'm thinking about this business problem. How can I deliver on that business problem? I'm going to ask my IT team. If they're having that question with you as the MSP, then you are their trusted advisor. If they're going to somebody else, asking their accountant or a friend who's in the industry or somebody else, then you're not the trusted advisor. And the way an MSP can show value is to own that trust. The way to own the trust is to understand quickly and efficiently what the customer needs and to show them a roadmap of how IT is going to support them to deliver it. And it's a business discussion, not a tech discussion. If we're talking about SLAs, we're not having a conversation that a chief executive is going to value. And the QBR is a chance for us to show the customer that we understand their business and they can uniquely trust us to deliver for the things that are important to them. And that's not, as I say, it's not doing tickets quickly. It's not whether, you know, somebody's screaming loudly because there's a PC that keeps rebooting. It's about whether or not we are helping them to be more efficient than their competitor, whether we're helping them to bring product to market that they want to do.
Sure. So a couple of things I think about when we talk about these things. Oh my Lord, I just lost my train of thought. Forget it. See,
That's why you guys are a team, right?
Yeah, hit the coffee, Sean. Hit the coffee.
It's obviously a big night last night, Sean.
The whole week.
No, we both were in Chicago for the week. So
yeah, the whole week, and it didn't stop. And honestly, like you're at the conferences, and it's great. You come in ready to go. After the first day, you're still sort of ready to go. After the second day, you're less than sort of ready to go. On the third day, you're like, okay, I want to go home. You know,
yeah, here you go.
Like, and in Chicago, if you guys don't, I love pizza. I sent Tom a picture of it earlier. You know, it's 1 a.m. and I'm with some partners, and we're having deep dish pizza in Chicago at 1 a.m. It was great. Oh my Lord, I would do it again. But it's like 1 a.m. I don't stay up to 1 a.m. anymore. I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it went well.
Back to the QBRs.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm quite
back
keen to
to
talk
QBR.
about pizza, to be honest.
It was this thick. The pizza was this thick, man. And I got extra cheese and pepperoni. Oh my Lord. Now I'm hungry.
Yep.
I've just booked a trip to the home of pizza, which is of course Naples in Italy, and I'm just off to Naples in about 8 weeks to go and
awesome.
to where pizza actually comes from. Just before coming out to IT Nation in Orlando, we're coming straight from Italy. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh my Lord. I want pizza. Anyway, back to QBRs before we all have to get off this call so we can eat.
It's exciting.
Quarterly pizza reviews.
So for in the world of let's not say QBRs. Let's just talk about assessments, because that's what these ultimately are. These are assessments that turn into value and business propositions for continuity, right? To maintain continuity. The role as far as assessments, and I use assessments right now because some people think that QBRs are specifically for certain people in the organization to do. I think people like, for me, I think the account manager should head up the ultimate QBR delivery. But I do believe that there should be all the stakeholders involved from the MSP side that are involved in putting it together, right? I mean, are we all in agreement on this?
Yep, that's what we do in our MSP, 100%.
And you know, and I'm curious. Even this is a question for Tom. Tom, you have really skilled techs.
Yes.
On your team. You also do a lot of co-manage stuff. You do projects across the country. How does a QBR, how does any of this have to do with what you do? How does it affect you, or does it not?
It does, but usually our point of contact in a co-managed situation, but it's still the same thing. It's making sure that sometimes the CIO or internal IT people, the people who actually are the ones who got the approval to hire us, we still have to show them the values and make sure we're conveying it. So it doesn't change much. It may change some of the people we're talking to, but we also use it as a tool because we know it's part of an information gathering. If you think about the role of an internal co-managed situation, it actually relates a lot to how Wes does things. You probably may or may not deal with the CEO of the company, depending on size. You may deal with the CIO or the other sysadmin teams because they chose you as the printer vendor, and they have to grab information themselves from the printer vendor, from the vendor that did some of the network engineering that we may have been hired for, and some other vendor that did something else for them that falls under the purview of IT, and bring it together. So sometimes we have a deeper conversation with them and trying to make sure we are expressing to them the value that they have to then go sell one level up, because it's some of the larger organizations we deal with. The CEO of the company is very interested, but not in talking to me, because we're just a bunch of vendors. He's got to filter it up there. So it still falls the same whether you're dealing with a smaller business where you just have, you're going to deal more directly with the business owners and decision makers, or even in a co-managed situation. So the QBR is still just as relevant in co-managed, maybe even more so, because if you can make it concise, you're already talking the same language, you're talking tech because you're internal IT, and you can make it just concise, because now they can hand that concise information right to the people above their head, bring it to their board meeting that comes through there. So it still works slightly different, but the premise is all the same still.
Yeah.
So when you say, Tom, that you want to take it to their board meeting, what do you think are the most important things that board wants to see from their tech partner?
It's usually, and I may get some of this wrong sometimes because I do, but it usually just to make sure, that like one of the ones we're dealing with is a large company we did storage for, is, did it fit we budgeted this much? Did we buy enough storage to complete the run rates we have? We deal with a lot of like movie studios, and then the movie studios, did it fit? Did it predict the way we're doing it? So we looked at the way they were building data, and we helped them predict how much storage they're going to need over years. So what is the efficiency of that project? The project cost this. Did they have service disruptions because of it? Those are things they care about a lot, because service disruptions means we delayed the editing team because the server didn't perform well, or is the editing team going, hey, we don't have those delays when we render. It renders faster. This is some of the weird things you have to do with storage engineering, is going, we have 38,000 photos we take per set, and we need a storage server that will handle them. We plan to do this many movies. It's going to take this much room, and it needs to process this fast, solve for X, and our budget's this. How fast is it going to be able to solve with this budget? And then they'll actually come back and evaluate that and look and see if it solved it. So we're putting together some interesting statistics for them and following up. We just followed up on a project for an automotive. I was actually telling Sean about this. Like they have data points they gather from crashing brand new cars, and does this server? It's actually the compression on it has served them better than expected. So it's actually going to, unfortunately for me, delay them buying another server. So the project review 6 months in, hey, we thought we were going to need another server 6 months in. We actually can delay buying that next server because the compression of the data points was better. But
so can we unpack those two? Because you had two very different use cases. The first was that movie studio, and what you talked about there was you understood the business need, which was around the editing performance. What happens if there's delays? What happens to their production line if they can't get their content out on time? So you start off by understanding. I mean, the board cares about that. The board's less concerned about how you do it; they care more about why they do it and are you delivering the promise that you've made. So you start off by that, and you understand the impact if that is or isn't delivered. And there's a cost. If they can't get that video production done to the schedule they're committed to with their producers, with their funders, with their whoever it is that's buying their content, then they've got some real contractual issues. So there's a value to what you do, and you're building out a solution that delivers to that. In the case of the motor vehicle industry piece, again, you've understood what's driving that success. By delaying them having to buy a new server, you've actually built trust because you said, you know what, just because I can sell you something doesn't mean I'm going to. I'm going to do what's in your best interest to help you fit around your operational budget. We're going to make sure the IT delivers the business solution that you require, and that's what their board cares about. So the challenge that you've got at MSP, all MSPs have, is unpacking that from the board's point of view and saying, what are your key business drivers? And then you go back to the office and say, how can I deliver that? What do I have in my stack that can do that? As well as what's not in my stack. What have I seen at the events and conferences? And from my own research, here's the value that I bring is to understand how I can apply IT, either things I do now or things I need to learn about, to allow that organization to be successful. Then the QBR, you only do that when there is these lumpy projects or when you're doing annual review, maybe. You come back to the office and you sit there and say, how do I show the value to the customer every quarter so they continue to have that relationship and trust me? And if I go back and show, hey, we did this thing, here's how it's performing, and this is the business outcome that you're achieving as a result because we've done what you've said, you're now having a very different conversation. And you're not talking about tickets and SLAs, you're talking about business problems, and you're talking about the fact that they were able to achieve their budget, they were able to hit their number this quarter because you understood their number and you care about their number. And that's really hard to measure, except you can see that they've got their goals done and so have you. And that's what success looks like. Our job is to help MSPs do that faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, I always think of business outcome, because I know as you go up the ladder, they want less and less details. They want business outcome. Did the editors get the movie edited at the rate? Those are all we look for those challenges and we think about the business outcome for it. It's even when we go in and sell, you're selling backup. It's not that you're selling backup. You're selling, what does downtime cost you? And, I've even, you joke around when, across the table with me, you're like, all right, how many people you have on? Yeah, I would say, I don't need to know the number. I just want you to think about the number. How many people you have on salary and how much does downtime cost? If they're down for 2 hours, what did you just pay for them not to work? I said, and I don't think you're going to dock it out of their pay. I'm going to guess. I said, in that number probably is substantially more, and you can sell how fast you want this restore to work based on that. I think about the business outcome of it. This is a statistical likely that this could happen. Here's their stats. Here's the number it will take to make that happen faster, and you can kind of work from there. So you're thinking about the business outcome and understanding the cost, because ultimately a lot of times the CEOs are going, you're all just components that I need to tune to the right cost and risk balance to make things happen.
If you can show the customer you understand that, then your competitor can't get in the door. If you can show your customer you understand what fundamentally drives their success, then that customer is your customer for life. And the QBR is your chance to show them that you get that and to build a relationship. Our job as a QBR provider is to help your sales team, your VCIOs, your senior architects to very quickly be able to share information internally to quickly turn that into value. And that's where the QBR is so important.
Okay, so big thing here that, the assessment of people and doing their work and being paid for the work they do, right? And this is something you just alluded to, Tom, when you were talking. I wish they had that for construction crews on the road, because I see a lot of that standing around. But seriously though, how important is that internally, knowing what your people are doing, right? So they're working. Externally, being able to provide the value and the cost for it that's associated with it, because otherwise, I think I read a report some years back that they were saying that the average person spends approximately 35 to 40% of their workday on social media, right? Yeah, right. Exactly, Tom. Tom's like, only? Yeah, okay.
Only?
So,
okay.
Right, only.
There's an irony that we're on LinkedIn right now, right? Promoting this.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? This is part of their workday of their 25 to 30%, 40%. But so, unless for people like us, though, it's good for us because we're engaged in groups on social media. But I'm talking about like social media for nonsense. They're on that, and I'm probably pretty sure. And that was before TikTok. God knows what it is now. Probably 95% at this point. But that's the point. Like, so as they're ever growing this, and as you're trying to assess what people are doing, how important is that to know what workload they consist of, what their hours account for, and showing it to the client to get paid on it too, right? Or just showing what they're doing wrong too. If they're working with clients themselves, showing them what they don't have, right? So
we kind of built the whole process around that exact concept. So obviously we're a little more break fix, and my business focus is to those resellers, not to actually the end user. They use our information for the end user, but it's really that dealer. Is I can draw a line around a territory and know exactly what the equipment is, know exactly how long it's going to take to fix it, and drop different people in there and go, okay, that's changing because Joe's not near as good as Mike is at fixing this equipment and doing his job. So I can't give him as much workload as this other guy. So I can design the territory around the efficiency of the individual, then know exactly what he needs to carry in his car to stock him with the proper parts. Because again, we're still a little more break fix than you guys are. But at the end of the day, it's about managing that labor expense and making sure I'm getting the maximum output of that team member for the benefit of the profit margins.
Absolutely. And then again, you provide a value, but again, this is for yourself internally as well. Yeah. You see a lot of, I've seen a lot of waste in labor in general in every organization. Lots of admin people, especially when you can automate most things these days. To have a lot of admin people doesn't make as much sense to me. Other than assistants, I get it, but you can automate most workloads at this point that are the mundane tasks, that is. So to know that, to build a process and be able to apply, come back to what we said early on, and then applying a technology to actually make that happen is probably more important and easier than not. You save a lot of money that way too, let's be clear. And you can deliver the same practice to your clients.
Yeah, I think when you go to your client, the client's more interested in their business than yours. And what you're doing is really important. And you've got things like SCPG. Again, shout out to the NetWise community and the SCPG program, Service Exec Peer Group. And we have a slightly different perspective to Wes. So really enjoying listening to that point of view. Our perspective is to go there and say, what does the customer care about? And the customer cares about their business, and they care about whether or not they're going to be successful. Do you understand what it takes to drive their success, and how you deliver into that? Mm-hmm. That's how you show. That's what you've got to do with the customer, to keep reinforcing the value of that trusted relationship with your MSP. And we have to help the MSP to do that faster, more efficiently, be more on point with the customer than ever before, and not to make assumptions. One of the other challenges we have as IT people, quite often we make assumptions because we can go in there and we can see a problem, we know what needs to be done in our language, but we've got to find a way to present that in the customer's language, in the way that they understand, and not to jump prematurely to conclusions, because we've got to show that we get them.
Actually, man, good comment there.
Yeah.
That's really, I couldn't agree more. It starts with staff, right? It starts with labor, and then you start to figure out this process looks like, and then you start to develop whatever the automation is going to be, or buy the tool that it's going to be to replace you would ideally want on your team all skill set players. That's the goal, right? To have all your employees be skill set, not just mundane task people. You're not looking for somebody to just repeatedly wash the same dish.
I'm sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, how do we do it for our customers? Their job is, how do we help our customers to automate processes? Because this is, we're worrying about manpower shortages, so are they. So what are the bottlenecks in their customers? What are the things where they've got somebody with 1,000 unread emails and can't get stuff done, or someone's too afraid to go and talk to somebody in the back office because their request is going to go to the bottom of the pile if they nag them? How do we help that person with that massive workload to be smarter? And that point about automation is exactly right. How do we help our customer to be more efficient?
Yep, absolutely.
We got to have a way of finding out what it is. We got to be able to have a structured way of quickly going in there and asking the customer, what are those holdups in your business? What are the places that are causing you frustrations? Where are the places you see opportunities? Not all negative, it's positive as well. What are the opportunities in your organization? What are the frustrations? How can we use IT to add value to your business? We're the IT expert. We're your trusted IT advisor. How can the MSP more rapidly find out what those things are and then show the value they're delivering towards that? And again, that's the business problem that we've endeavored to solve with Get Cambium, is to allow MSPs to ask that question, ask those questions, and to present thoughtful, rapidly present roadmaps that allow the customer to deliver on their goals.
Absolutely. Wes, were you going to say them before too? Wes?
Well, I was just referencing the fire comment, because in the print industry, even today, the technician fails to resolve the problem the first time less than 50% of the time, and that doesn't even create a fire.
Yeah.
Think about that. You know, if you took your car in or asked for something, and 50% of the time it did not get wasn't a successful outcome, most people would be screaming bloody murder. But that doesn't happen in our industry.
No.
Printers are a little different.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We did a great job of setting the expectation, is what it is.
That's true too. And everybody hates printers universally too, like technicians and people in general. Everyone.
Really?
We have to use them, but we don't have to like them.
I mean, what gave it away when they made a whole video segment on a movie where they just
smashing it with a baseball bat?
They gang busted. I mean, yeah, I think it's one of those memes that keep coming back. Like once a week, I see a printer meme.
20 years later, it's iconic still.
Oh, but it is, well, it's not even iconic. It's still true.
Yeah.
It's
oh. Yeah. Yes. There are several videos of me filling them with explosives. That is a thing that people who want to look for it can find it.
Oh my God!
You're just selling the vision of the paperless office.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
We've been at it 20 years.
We're getting to the top of the hour, so we'll go into our most important question of the day.
Andrew's love language is pizza. We figured this out already.
I know, right? So we'll go Wes first. Since Andrew was like, I don't know, I must not be lovable. So Wes, what is your love language, man?
Words of affirmation. My ego needs stroked all the time.
Fair enough.
That's a man thing. Honestly, every guy we've had on here has said that, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah,
it's really common. So
it's like 99%. I mean, and then some people try to like, well, I have a pecking order. It's this, this, and this, but yeah, no. Andrew, what about you?
Look, I think it's really clearly number 4. One of my favorite things is sitting down with my family, with my friends, some wine, some pizza, some cheese, and just enjoying quality time together, talking about the world, the challenges, the problems, the opportunities that we all face, and just really, frankly, enjoying being alive. That's number 4, big time.
Yeah, I get it.
That's me too. And that's the one for me. Like spending quality time with people is just great. I don't know. So my thing.
Well, those conferences you were just talking about, was Chicago quality time? It sounds like it was.
Chicago was a great. They did a nice job. CompTIA did a nice job. Honestly,
we were sharing cake pops. Well, he wasn't sharing them, but we were
sharing that. Who are you kidding? That was mine. Those were mine. I'm not even gonna lie about it. And that was not the first 2 I ate, by the way.
No.
I had many of them before that, and they had a great bar selection. You know, you go to conferences and you go to the bar and they're like, you know, when they have the free whatever, the bar crawls and stuff. It's never really good booze. Like it's like, they had like a nice selection of bourbons. I was very happy with it. I spent a lot of time. Well, luckily for me, the bar and the cake pops were right beside each other.
Yeah.
I have to go.
And Sean shared some quality time with bourbon.
We did. Lots of it. Lots of both. So yeah, no, I highly suggest people get out. If you guys aren't members of CompTIA, not to promote them like crazy, but I believe in their stuff. But make sure you guys do. Oh, we lost Wes.
Oh,
I was like, I had enough of you guys.
you get
I think it was
consumed by the
Urban,
desert.
eh?
I'm done with this stuff. Phoenix is different here. I don't want to hear about Chicago pizza. So, if you guys, what else we have here? See, I told you, rough week.
Yeah, I think we covered all this. We do have links in the description down below, so you can learn about Wes or Andrew and the Get Cambium and the products they're offering. And of course, as I said, they're going to be at ConnectWise at the IT Nation Connect 2022. And
Yep.
this is
Which is in November. Everybody needs to be there, and everybody needs to find you guys. And Andrew, you'll have a booth, so they need to be paying attention to you. Come by for the booth because you guys have a lot to offer. So I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm excited to meet
Look forward to
everybody.
seeing you there.
And by the way, Andrea Barrow is watching this, and she's telling me she's getting pizza for dinner. You're welcome, Andrea.
Yep.
I'll send you the picture. Then you'll really want pizza. And I gained 10 pounds in one night. I swear to God.
With one pizza.
With one pizza. Oh, seriously, I was about to fight somebody over it. So, yeah. All right. So, I mean, that's it for us right now.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Wes can't say goodbye. But we already miss you, Wes, terribly. You just ran away so abruptly.
He can understand. Andrew, have a wonderful trip. Naples is where you're going, right?
That's exactly right. Yes.
Awesome.
So looking forward to that, and then we'll be seeing you guys in Orlando a couple of weeks later. So I'm looking forward to that very much indeed. And just Sean, again, just a big a big shout out to you and to Andrea and to Lily on this great program. We're just getting so much value from it, and whether or not we win or even make the finals, so much value at this point, and really looking forward to the chance to explain how we can help MSPs be more strategic with their clients more quickly and get value is what I'm excited about.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
All
right. Well, Tom, take us out of here, man.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. As I said, links all down below, and see you next time.
Bye all.